Just received an unsolicited spicy photo from an employee, followed by an apology. What next? I'm 32M, the general manager for a corporate franchise breakfast restaurant. It's basically only me and management in-house. I have 2 kitchen managers, but they are more lead cooks than anything. I do all the scheduling, hiring, firing, disciplinary stuff, etc. It is corporate owned, so I have a regional director and there is an HR department at the head office. One of my kitchen employees, 40s F, just sent me a picture of her boobies, followed by an apology, and saying she won't be coming in tomorrow. What do I do from here? I'm thinking obviously I will call HR Monday morning and report this through them. What do I do beyond that? How do I protect myself fully in this situation? Relevant comments. It may have been a genuine accident. I've sent people messages meant for others on accident before. These things happen. I would report it to HR immediately, but you do need to ascertain whether it was an accident or not. OP, almost certainly an accident, yeah. No sort of inclination of interest otherwise, and she seemed embarrassed into calling out for tomorrow. I don't see the play otherwise. OP responds to some ideas of keeping personal and work message apps separately. OP, you bring up a very valid point and you may have just solved 2 issues for me. I have a hard time leaving my employees' text messages on read. I tell them I'm always easy to reach and prefer text because my service gets choppy sometimes, and I can filter how urgent it is. But it does get draining being accosted on my days off all the time. A separate messaging service could solve both these issues. Keep the work messages separate and not feel so bad about waiting till I'm back at the office to answer non-urgent stuff, and avoid this kind of mix-up in the future. There are no accidental nudes in the work messaging app excuse. Update. I got a lot of great responses, most people saying what I was thinking, cover yourself and report to HR. A lot of people suggesting I let it go and do nothing besides let the employee know I knew it was an accident and deleted, and then a handful of people who didn't understand why anyone would report that, saying I was a bad person for even thinking it, and a bunch of questions and comments about the boobs themselves, asking to see them if they were nice, etc. etc. You know, pretty much par for the course on the internet. I felt like I should update you guys. I ended up emailing HR the next morning, letting them know what happened and asking for advice. This was a Sunday morning. I also sent a text to my HR rep letting them know I had sent them an email. HR got back to me soon after. The gist of the email they sent me was, you should meet with the employee in question with a witness, and let them know of the possible consequences of their actions. Tell them about the risks of sending pictures like that out onto the internet, remind them that they last forever, and that once they are out there they have no choice over what happens to those pictures, as well as the possible repercussions to the person receiving them, if someone else like a partner or a boss sees those pictures in someone's device. Let them know you are putting a disciplinary notice in their file, to iterate the severity of their action, and let them know that there will be consequences if there is a recurrence in the future. In an effort to preserve the integrity of the employee to her colleagues and in an attempt to alleviate some of the embarrassment of the situation, I didn't want to loop in one of the kitchen managers into the situation, besides the fact that they are both male. So I arranged for my HR rep to come down and meet her with me on the first shift back after her weekend. My HR rep is also female, which I feel like was more appropriate than to meet her with another man. I asked HR to meet me at a cafe across the street, just to avoid any questions from staff or any chance of being overheard. There isn't a lot of space in my tiny office for 3 people, and I didn't want to sit in the dining room and chance being overheard, or the employee feeling more embarrassed than needed. The employee was admittedly embarrassed, but was very receptive and appreciative of the way we handled it. She was convinced I was letting her go. We reiterated that we were not, just crossing the T's and dotting I's. I couldn't not report this, but I also didn't want to loop in anyone she has to work with, hence HR being here. I showed her my phone, reassured her it was deleted right away, not shown to anyone, but that being corporate I had to choose but to have what happened on paper. She had no issues signing her warning. All in all, it was a good way to bury the hatchet and eliminate the awkwardness, and I feel much better knowing the situation is entirely above board. I think everyone sleeps better tonight because of the way it was handled. But let me tell you, I lost a lot of sleep about it the last few nights. I imagine she must have as well. Relevant comments. OP explains how HR works in his workplace. OP, that's how HR works, bud. You don't just tell the staff, hey, you did this, warning you not to do it again, sign here. You have to walk them through the action, the policy they broke by committing it, the reason that policy is in place, the immediate repercussions of their action, the possible risks of said action, and the repercussions of recurrence. Example: if someone is late, you don't just tell them, hey, you were late, here is a piece of paper that says you were late, sign it. Instead, you highlight the attendance policy they agreed to, highlight the day and time of their breach of said policy, the impact that had on their teammates and the enterprise as a whole, the consequences of continuing this behavior, and a time and date to meet again to make sure the policy is being met. Commenter 1. I love the measures you took to prevent embarrassing her and to preserve the relationship. Commenter 2. I have to say, I think you handled this perfectly. I love how you took steps to make sure she was more comfortable and not embarrassed and met at another place to preserve her dignity. This is an example of exactly how these situations should be handled.